Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Congress is barreling the U.S. towards a government shutdown with 4 days left to avoid one, and House Republicans at loggerheads over government spending. Far-right Republicans are demanding cuts to crucial benefits, including food aid and funding for Ukraine. The House is expected to vote on a package of government funding bills today. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has said they will reject proposals with steep budget cuts. A group of bipartisan senators are also working on a plan for a stopgap measure. A government shutdown would mean air traffic controllers would be asked to work without pay. Some 7 million people in the WIC, Women, Infants, and Children program, including half the babies born in the U.S., could lose access to nutritional benefits, and other government aid programs would be delayed. President Joe Biden is scheduled to join striking auto workers in Detroit, Michigan today. The United Auto Workers Union marks day 12 of a strike that spread to 20 states at 38 plants for the big three automakers, Ford, GM, and Stellantis. Monday, Biden reiterated his support for the strikers.
I think the UAW gave up an incredible amount back when the automobile industry was going under. They give everything from the pensions on, and they saved the automobile industry. And I think that now that the industry is roaring back, they should participate in the benefit of that. And if you take a look at the significant increase in salaries for the executives and growth of the industry, they should benefit from it.
His visit comes after Republican Donald Trump announced he'll visit striking UAW workers Wednesday instead of attending the second Republican debate. United Auto Workers Union leadership has said a second Trump presidency would be a disaster for workers, citing unfavorable rulings from the nation's top labor board and the U.S. Supreme Court during Trump's presidency and his unfulfilled promises of automotive jobs. Striking writers have stopped picketing after reaching a tentative labor deal with Hollywood studios. The Writers Guild of America board votes on the labor deal today. It was announced Monday with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. If approved, it would go to full union membership for a vote after nearly 5 months on the picket lines. The details of the deal have not been made public yet. 11,500 writers went on strike over issues of pay, the size of writing staff, and control of the use of artificial intelligence in script writing. The agreement comes 5 days before the strike would have become the longest in the Guild's history. The union is encouraging writers to join actors on the picket lines who are still on strike with no deal yet on the horizon. They have similar demands. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is rejecting calls to resign after a corruption probe Friday that accuses the Democrat of accepting nearly $500,000 in cash, gold bars, and a luxury car in exchange for using his position as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to help Egypt and New Jersey business associates. He's since resigned as chair. The AP's Sagar Magani reports.
Prosecutors say FBI agents found nearly $500,000 in cash in Menendez's home.
Now, this may seem old-fashioned.
The senator says he kept the cash on hand for emergencies and because his family used to fear its assets being seized in its native Cuba.
These were monies drawn from my personal savings account based on the income that I have lawfully derived.
In announcing the indictment Friday, prosecutor Damian Williams noted the cash had some tie to Fred Davies, one of the 3 businessmen from whom Menendez is accused of taking bribes.
Some of the envelopes of cash contain Davies' fingerprints, Davies' DNA.
Sagar Magani.
President Joe Biden is hosting a Pacific Island summit at the White House with island leaders. Today marks day 2. Monday, he announced he's recognizing the island of Niue as a sovereign and independent state and made a plea to Congress for nearly $200 million in new funding to address issues like climate change that threaten the existence of some island nations. Christopher Martinez reports.
Biden made several more announcements: economic agreements, academic student exchanges, new U.S. embassies in Tonga and the Solomon Islands, and the return of the Peace Corps to Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, and Vanuatu. He also announced the first U.S. Coast Guard vessel dedicated to training with Pacific Island nations. He says he's launching, in consultation with Congress, $200 million in new proposals. In particular, he announced a $20 million boost in climate assistance, calling the climate crisis a key challenge for the island nations.
I want you to know I hear you. The people of the United States and around the world hear you. We hear your warnings of a rising sea and that they pose an existential threat to your nations. We hear your calls for reassurance that you never, never, never will lose your statehood or membership of the UN as a result of a climate crisis. Today, the United States is making it clear that this is our position as well.
Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.